Hi everybody, welcome back to Bonsai Down Under. I've been away from the channel for quite a while. I think it's been over 6 months now. But all the plants have been growing really good. So we're going to work on a little project that I started on. It's a root over rock, my ficus root over rock project. It's growing pretty wild over the winter time and that, and with the ficuses, they're very vigorous and they grow very fast. So as you'll probably see, that all the roots have all starting to expose, and you get a lot of aerial roots with them up here in Queensland because it's a lot humid up here. Even over the winter time too, it's produced a lot of roots coming out all over the place. So we're going to try to expose that a little bit more and show the rock off a bit more today, and we'll see if we can get that up out of the soil a bit. Yeah. All right. So I'd just like to say I still have a great interest in my bonsai. It's just that I've had a few things in my life I'm sorting out. So yeah, and so I'd like to thank you for those who have can tune in and still follow me on my bonsai journey. Alright, so we'll get into it, and I'll show you the ficus that we're going to be working on today. Alright, here it is, the ficus over rock project. So you can see as the roots are we get a lot of aerial roots coming out everywhere, and especially underneath too. It's starting to root underneath too. But anyway, we can cut them roots back a bit, because as I said, I want to establish this bonsai inside this pot here. Yeah. The top growth, see how it's really taken off. It's just gone nuts, that top growth. This was only that's about one of those branches there size when I first started this, when I planted this in this pot. So that just goes to show you how vigorous these ficuses are. And look at all these aerial roots. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff with them later on if you wanted to follow them back down into the soil. And they would thicken up and basically start their own root system. with you see in a lot of big giant ficuses where you have the big curtain roots hanging down, and they've already established another root system of their own from the main trunk of the tree. So what we'll do today is we're gonna cut some of this back, and we might get a little bit of movement happening in it. We can put a little bit of wiring on there. I've got this really lovely green soft wire here. It's got a casing over it, and so maybe because these guys are quite flexible, you know, and we might be able to move them around a bit with that. I'd like to try it with that first before I put the bonsai wire on it. So our plan is today is to remove all this here, all our little caging thing we had going on here, netting. And we've got a rock under here. We want to see how much those roots have been infused onto that rock. And we're going to sort of raise it up out of the pot a little bit too. So then that gives it that feature. You can see those roots like actually spread all over that rock and going back down into the soil. So yeah, anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove all this casing, take all this off first, and then I'll get back to you, and then we'll go from there. All right, everybody, we're back. We've just taken that netting off. Now I am quite amazed how fast this ficus has infused itself to this rock. Take a look at those roots. Look how thick that trunk is now. Like I said, it was only about probably about the size of one of these here, like that thickness there, and that's been a bit over 6 months. That's how quick you can get a developed growth from a ficus, and they're a great tree to start with if you're starting out with bonsai. I mean, this has just been a project. I thought, you know, just give it a go and see how it goes. And yeah, I'm very happy for what it's done there with all the roots. It's naturally just done its own thing with the roots. We've got some nice thick root there coming down. We've got some, we don't want too many of these little feeder roots up here. We want them down in the soil more. So we're going to, I'll move a couple of these. There's a really lovely root here coming up from up here. I think I'll leave this one and bring that down along the rock line there. But yeah, and we got some nice coming out here. These will fatten up more to what that size is up there. Come down to that. They're nicely directly. They're a little bit off the rock. I actually might take them out and see if I can get them a little bit closer to that rock and put a bit more of this green wiring. And the thing is with the wiring too, it hasn't really eaten in that much, which it doesn't leave really bad marks on your trunk line there, and on your roots, scar your roots up too much. But yeah, I mean, there's my rock. It actually is quite exposed. I did have that quite floating already, so I'm quite happy for where it's sitting in the pot. Now what we'll do next is we'll take some of this canopy back a bit. So I just thought I'd zoom in and show you quickly, a little close up there on it. Okie dokie. All right, let's have a look at this monster. Okay, now what we'll do is what I'm going to do is just clean up around here a little bit, and like I said, and direct a couple of those roots where I want to put them. So we're just going to brush out so that soil out of there still in places, just so it exposes that rock a little bit more. Because I had a lot of what do you call it, coconut peat in there around it, which is good too. I wrapped that before I did that. I sort of wrapped a lot of coconut peat around that when I actually first infused this onto the rock. So, and it's really created like a lot of those extra little feeder roots here coming out, which then we can direct down onto that rock a bit better. But yeah, I'm just going to give it a little brush out with the toothbrush. Just clean it up a little bit so it exposes a little bit more of that rock, and you get that effect where it just goes straight into the soil, which you don't have too much of a mound around your rock on the base, which gives it a better effect. I was quite lucky. I picked this rock up. I was on one of my parks, and I seen this rock there, and I thought, well, usually a lot of root over rocks, the rocks can get really heavy, and then when you have the planting, and so it's a bit hard to move it around. This rock, you know, it was quite light, really, and so it's very easy for me to pick this pot up and move it around if I want to. It's not too big, too large of a setup. And we're just going to see if we can expose the base of this rock a little bit more. Just brush out a little bit more where we've got a little bit of that peat moss still floating around in there. This is the safest way basically to do it with the brush, because you won't ruin your roots too much then. It won't break all your roots off. I don't want a lot of these little feeder roots anyway up in the top part up in here too much. We just want these main roots to thicken up, because it gives the effect, and because you still want to be able to see your rock, expose the rock. So if you have too many feeder roots on the rock, it's really pointless of having a root over rock, really. You can't actually see it. So that's the point. You just pick which ones that you want. And like I said, see, having that green wire on there with that casing, it hasn't really dented it or put marks in it. This is actually, you know, these roots will keep on getting development in them. off that trunk line, so it just put like a little indentation. That's it. It hasn't really hurt the roots or scarred it up too much. So that's pretty good. So what I want to do now is basically get some of these cut off that I don't want. Just remove some of them. Now, so all these up here, these area roots up here, we don't want them up there. So we'll just get them all off. As I said, these ficuses go nuts if you... I've got another ficus too. Remember one that air lay that I did? I got from my brother. I will be showing you an update on that. And it went in one of these type of pots. And so yeah, it just I've had to keep on pruning back area roots all the time. So that one there is not too bad. I'd like to maybe expose that and thicken up, because like this one over here, like that other one that's already got a bit of thickness to it. There's another one going down here. Maybe that will look quite nice too. I might keep that. But some of these little ones, you know, you won't need them. And what I said, I'll put these back into the soil. You might want to cut them off a little bit, and we'll dig them into the soil. Just want everything sort of flowing a nice direction, straight down over the rock. You don't want too much crisscross happening on it. We're just taking off all these aerial roots. That's a fun thing about ficuses, like that. They give you so much choice, so much to you know, ways that you can go about doing your planting. Yeah. And like I said, this has only been in this pot for 6 months, bit over 6 months. This development on this, so I'm pretty stoked. So what I'll do, those ones there that I said they're a little bit far away from the rock, we might see if we can lift them up a little bit and put them in a little closer, because they're but I'd still like to keep a little bit of rooting in there, because you want that to develop. But let's say, look at that, look how long that's gone. That's insane how long that's how quick it is. See, sometimes I think the ficuses too, you know, as I said, that's why you've got to take them out every now and then and do a little bit of a root prune on them, because they will just go nuts. What we do is, what I want to do is put that in a bit closer. In closer to that rock. Now we'll just cut that, we can cut that root back a bit. Still got a little bit of root in there. And so that's the whole idea, is just generally get that in closer. Put a couple in there a bit closer. And we'll put a little bit more of a little bit more wrapping around that, just so it comes in a little bit closer to the rock. I don't like how they're like too far out there, exposed away from the rock a little bit, too far. So we'll bring them a bit closer. That's the thing too, as I said, you can't leave these sort of projects too long. Obviously, with like I said, with the ficuses, they it's too hard then to direct where you want to put your roots. So you've got to basically stay on top of them. Otherwise, they'll get out of hand really quick. So there's a couple in here that I sort of don't want to keep. Just a couple of crisscrossy ones there. That one there I said I was going to keep, but it's a little bit high up on the trunk, so I think I'll remove it. I've sort of changed my mind with it. So yeah, you want to just remove all these little light feeder roots here, because You don't want them to develop too much at all, really. Now that I've exposed that out of the soil a little bit more, see, a lot of them will die off if they're not basically down in the soil. Those aerial roots. And which, yeah, you just want to clean it up a little bit. And so that one there, like I said, this one here, what we'll do is we'll cut him back a bit, and we'll encourage him to go down the side of the rock there like that. There's a crisscrossy one there, which I think I might remove, or just transfer. I might transfer that one over a little bit more. Just bring him back down here like that, maybe down the side of the rock just here. Dig a little hole so he can start to go down there a little bit closer. There we go. Yep. And this one here, like I said, I want to just follow that. I like to follow that contour down the side there of that shape just there like that, and just to spread out the roots a little bit too. And we'll just cut that off a little bit. Just allow a little bit extra. A little reroot again and take off. So yeah, just sort of like that. They'll stay in place, those roots. They won't move too much. Alright, so we'll just do a little bit more cleaning up with those aerial roots. So you can see that's starting to, we come around this side a little bit. Crazy canopy on it. Yeah, there's one here, this one here was sort of going out this way. I'd like to bring that down that on the side of the rock there like that a little bit more. That would be quite nice, I think. Follow it down onto that little curve there. That's not too long, so we can just dig a little hole here for this one and bring it in close to the side of the rock. That's it. So the ones that aren't in the ground, they will die out. So just a little brush off here. Like I said, but I don't think I'll take this out of this now. Like I said, it hasn't been in there that long that it's actually root bound in this pot yet. It's got a nice establishment of roots, but it's all right. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now we'll just have I'd like to trim this canopy back a bit now, and we'll see what we can do here. Like I said, it's all sort of like, it's really open at the moment. So we want to see if we can get a different change of direction happening a little bit, move it around a little bit. Okay, just cut this bit here and we'll just see if we can get a little bit of movement happening here. We'll just see if we go with this stuff, eh? So it's nice and light to wind it around too. It's a little bit easier than that an actual bonsai one, but it might just give it enough just to pull it in a direction, you know, a different direction that I want. All right, we've got two here. Let's see if we can get a little bit of movement. See if we can move them around a little bit. I don't know how much it's going to move it. Well, it has adjusted it a little bit, hasn't it? Like I said, I want to cut these back a little bit. See, get a little bit of weight off it. Extra weight we don't need on them. And see if we can get some side branching happening. Maybe, as I said, I might even take these a little bit shorter. Just remove the wire off there. I'll get back about there somewhere. Outward facing branch. Yeah. That'll look a bit better if it's a bit smaller there. that one that way. And we'll reduce this one a bit too, I think. It just needs to be as long. This one here, I think I might just cut that shorter from now, and we'll see if what we get out of that. And this one here, back to there maybe. Alright, so we'll just give that a bit of a haircut, taking a fair bit of that off there, the thickness that we had on it. Okay. So yeah, that's looking a lot better now. It's I like that now that we've got that exposed a bit now. It's like I said, I was quite happy for how much growth we've got off that ficus. That's our root over rock ficus. There's a couple down here, roots I want to remove from underneath here, because it's going a bit crazy. Like I said, but I'm not gonna take it out of this pot. I'll leave it in this pot for a bit longer now. It's still got a fair bit to fill up in that pot. Now that those roots are a little bit exposed now, they're gonna start to thicken up more and even get more character. We get a bit more branching happening out in places now. It's now we've trimmed these back a little bit. Thanks for everybody anyway that's tuned in and have a look today, and I hope you got something out of it and had a bit of fun with it. Later on, when this gets a little bit more developed, I'm going to put it into a different style of pot. Next video coming up, I'd like to show a few more updates of some of my previous videos that I have put out there, of some younger plants that we did put into pots, and just to show you some development that's happened with them, and do some pruning too, because we're coming into spring now, so it's a good time to do your repotting and just to prune back your plants. That's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video of Bonsai Down Under. Thanks for watching.